Hey neighbor, welcome back to ARTV. My name is John and today we have very important business to get down to. It's the Ed Sheeran Halloween Review Spectacular Extravaganza because we're looking at his fourth solo album, Equals. Johnny McDade of Snow Patrol fame returns once again as a primary collaborator on this project, and I was excited to see him going a bit more back to basics. He put out a song called Afterglow at the end of 2020, and after a year like that, I think we needed something that just felt very personal and heartwarming in its own way. Was it worth totally fawning over and saying, "The God is back"? No, but Ed Sheeran never exactly struck that chord with me in the first place. He's been like toast in a way, but toast can have its own purpose, right? I think so many people get caught up in saying that, oh, Ed Sheeran's so bland, he's so boring, how could you possibly ever want to listen to him? And we forget the fact that people often latch on to something because of a universal message that's done well, not always, but in Ed's case, I'm willing to give him at least enough of the benefit of the doubt, and on this album, Equals, he may have just delivered his best record to date. Rewind that just a second, because Multiply is definitely up there. That might be the odd man out opinion, but I never really felt like his debut Plus was all that fantastic. Whether you like it or not though, Ed has dominated the pop game for the past 10 years. I can't believe it's been a decade since Plus, but after putting out Multiply and Divide, albums that I felt definitely had strengths, he wandered off a bit, and I wasn't sure if he was going to come back to territory that felt redeemable. Bad Habits came out as the first single, and its vampiric music video had me rolling my eyes and also feeling like the song was just there, meant to be ear radio candy, and one out the other. After Bad Habits, I thought we were in for a boring pop affair, but I was happy to be proven wrong by Visiting Hours. This is a tender moment written for a friend that passed away, and it has a universal message that feels so raw and so passionate in its own way. It's Ed struggling with coming to terms with the fact that his friend is never going to be here again, and how he wishes that heaven had visiting hours so that he could put himself there, get advice because he feels lost on his own. Equals doesn't have any features, and I like that. I really appreciate Ed getting back to the basics. There's a lot of stripped back tunes that feature him, his acoustic guitar, something that feels like he's trying to pull on the heartstrings. It might be a little bit cheesy, but in an odd way, I like that he's reverting back to that without repeating himself lyrically. He's become a father since he put out his last album. He's also gotten married. He's settling down in many ways, and with age comes wisdom. And I'm not saying that he's spewing the fountain of youth here. It's just that there's something that inherently feels warm and inviting about it. Look at the opening track Tides, where Ed kind of psychs us out by giving a rockier feeling to the start of the song. It opens up the album, and I appreciate that momentum, but he kind of swaps it out with an a cappella style chorus, something that he says he did intentionally because he wanted the verses to feel like how fast life can be, but everything slows down, like with the birth of a child, or maybe a different life event that gives you a different perspective. These are the qualities that look best on Ed, and honestly, they play out for the benefit of his album Equals. And for the most part, on the first 6 songs, if you want to subtract Bad Habits, that is, he doesn't miss, and he also really mixes up the tempos. There are a decent amount of problems that crop up here, and some of it has to do with the production. While you've got a lot of A-listers from Steve Mac and again Johnny McDade working on this, I think they push it a little bit too far with some of the synthesized sound effects and some extra passes that just simply were not needed on tracks like Overpass Graffiti. Also, if we're being honest with ourselves, I think there is an inherent silliness to some of the tunes, especially moments like Two Step with its booming bass and Ed Sheeran talking about two-stepping with his wife. It's kind of fun to that degree, it's a bit of a banger, but it's also ridiculous, over the top. It has me laughing, but also hooked. It can make you feel seasick with how much we're trying to stand and balance ourselves between the slower, more acoustic introspective cuts and the ones that are ready for the dance floor. I will say, Shivers, I did not see coming. That is a flamethrower that slapped me upside the face. One of the best pop hooks of the year. It's a mainstream hit that I am totally fine with. It's stuck in my head rent-free, and I'm not going to be the landlord to evict it. When Ed steps into ballad territory, or even commits to a full-on banger, those can be some of the best and most enjoyable cuts on the LP. It's the ones that slip in the cracks and don't really want to be either of those that get very forgettable very fast. Fortunately, I don't feel a burning flame of hatred in my heart for this material. It's just more indifference to some of the most boring cuts like Love in Slow Motion or Leave Your Life, Collide even. It feels way too overly familiar. If I'm being honest, I might recommend this album more to somebody who's in a relationship or feels very committed to a partner or even a friend than I would to somebody who is feeling single and perhaps a bit bitter, because these love songs, they're not necessarily gonna scratch any sort of itch for you. If anything, it might irritate you and inflame your hatred for those who have somebody or found their happily ever after. No shade at all to my single viewers out there. I'm just saying that for me, the personal attachment to tracks like Joker and the Queen, First Times, and even looking forward to a cut like Sandman when maybe I'll have a child in the future. Ed's commitment to detail and just the simplicity that he's able to squeeze out of that little hourglass, it's fantastic, and that's why I feel that my heart is in it for those moments. Ed definitely has a tendency to repeat himself, and some of the problems that he's had in the past, they flare up again here. So if you've not been on board with his other albums, I don't see this album changing your mind, but there are a few moments that are very, very catchy, from Overpass Graffiti, forgiving some of its shortcomings, and also Shivers, The First Time, The Joker and the Queen. These are all moments that definitely spoke to me in some way. So I enjoyed this project a lot more than I thought I would, and I'm giving it a 3.5 out of 5. Let me know in the comments down below, what did you think about this album, and how would you rank all of Ed's solo projects? For me, this definitely ranks up there. It's a close toss-up between this and Multiply. Please hit that like button, subscribe for the love of music, and check out another review on screen here and another Ed Sheeran video over here. Socials in the description. I'll be back soon for more on ARTV.